And I want to welcome you once again to another edition of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, coming at you every single week. What we try to do is bring you rock stars from outside the industry and from inside the industry. The whole purpose, the whole mission of our show at the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network is to give you ideas, concepts, different ways to grow your business and go to a new level. And this week we've got a special guest, and we've actually got a very special thing here because what we're going to talk about is how to have a debt free business and a debt free lifestyle. And several years ago, I met this guy, met him for years, but I got to know him deeper and deeper and found out that he had actually embarked on this journey some years ago and was actually living a debt free and a business and personal lifestyle, both in his family and his business. So I want to welcome as my guest today, Jeremy Biswell. Jeremy is a past president of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. He's been around the industry, and a lot of people that know him, Bart Ogden, one of the guys he mentored under, actually calls him the Golden Boy. So, Jeremy, you out there with me tonight?
I am. How you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. So you ready to spread some knowledge and help some people out here on how to go towards this debt-free thing?
Yeah, hopefully we help some people.
That's it. So listen, I know that you are committed to, and you and Brandy live what I'm going to call a debt-free lifestyle, and you do this in both your personal and your business life. So here's the question I want you to share with everybody. Have you been like this all your life? Did you grow up this way and it's just nature, or did something strike you and got you started on this? And how did you make it work, man? Because it sounds like it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely not. We did not start off this way. We started off like everybody else. Had parents that borrowed money and had 30-year mortgages and followed the typical path of most people in their financial life. So basically, once we started the hey Jerry, I'm getting some feedback. I think it might be your end.
No, I'm not hearing it. Go ahead. You're okay.
I'm echoing. It's weird.
Don't worry about it. It's not coming through on this side. Go ahead.
Okay. So anyways, uh, so we when we first started the business, we took out a business loan like most people do, and of course it was a high interest business loan, uh, about $10,000, and had the big payments and everything because we didn't have any credit or anything. And once I got a lot of that under control, we were still pretty young, and it seemed like I was working a lot, 5 to 7 days a week, long hours. Brandy was in school and also working, and at the end of every month, we hardly had anything to show for it. We knew money was coming in, but there just wasn't any left over. And I thought, man, this doesn't seem right. I'm working a lot, working hard. So what's going wrong here? And one day I was kind of talking to my mom about it. My mom said, hey, you ought to listen to this guy on the radio. His name's Dave Ramsey. And he has a daily show on the AM station where people call in with debt issues and money issues, and he gives them answers. So I started to listen to that and caught on and really liked it. And Brandy and I were driving to her mom's house for dinner, and we drove by a church, and they were boasting that they were going to have a Dave Ramsey class. So he has a course that you can take that kind of teaches his philosophy on things. It's called Financial Peace University. So we signed up and we ended up taking that class and followed through on everything, and then started working on the concepts. It took us about 3 to 4 years, and we got all of our personal debt paid off, and then we whittled at the business and got the business debt free as well.
So, Jeremy, what's some of the things you have to do? Like when you say you whittled the debt down, tell me some of the things you did. I mean, did you keep living the same lifestyle, or did you have to drastically change your lifestyle in order to accomplish this?
I don't know if it's drastic. It might sound drastic to a lot of people because it's abnormal to not have cable and to pay really close attention and try to make lists and meal plan weekly and sell all your toys. We as business owners, you go through the day and you work hard and you end up working hard and playing hard, and you go, hey, I deserve this or that. I deserve a fancy car, a big house, or a toy, a boat, what have you. I deserve elaborate vacations, things of that nature. And hey, I've got this money coming in. I've got all this money coming in. So of course I can get loans and credit cards and everything else to spend that, because the bank sees, hey, this is how much earning potential I've got. So everybody will loan you money. So basically what we did was is we started going the opposite of what everybody does. I had a motorcycle. I sold it. We had extra stuff. We sold it all. We whittled it down, got bare bones, meal planned every week. If it wasn't on the list, we didn't purchase it. Got rid of a lot of the luxury things in our lives. Skipped a couple of vacations, did some cheaper things. Stopped going out on the weekend. Definitely stopped buying a bunch of alcohol, things like that at bars. It can get pretty expensive. And we were younger. Of course, we don't go to the bars and stuff even at this age, but back then we did, So that was a lot of the things, a lot of what some people would say sacrifice. I kind of call it trimming the fat and getting down into reality.
Yeah. So
then you take all that extra money. I mean, you budget everything out, and you go, okay, this is how much it costs me to live, and this is how much we have at the end of the month. And then you put whatever extra you can onto the debt, and you start with the smallest debt, and you throw all that money off, and then you pay that off. Then you take that same amount of money and you put it on the next debt, the next largest debt, and that's called the debt snowball, is what Dave Ramsey calls it. Until you get all the way up to the biggest debt, which is usually your home, and you start whittling on that. And next thing you know, you've got a 30-year mortgage that you've just whittled down and paid off in less than 10 years.
Right. So you made extra house payments, which went directly to principal, correct?
Yeah. And when you do that, you back then, I don't know how people do it now. I haven't had a mortgage on anything in so long, but you used to get a payment book. And the payment book, each month you would send off you'd rip out the slip out of this little payment book, and you'd write in, this is how much I'm sending off. They had a minimum payment, which I think ours was like $1,500. And at the time we had money escrowed for insurance and taxes and everything, right? Because we didn't just pay that. It came out monthly, so the bank would pay those. And so then it had a breakdown where if you wanted to throw more on the principal, or not on the principal, on the interest, on the principal. You want to put more on the principal, you could write that in and send that extra check in. So yeah, that's what we would do. And there's little tricks out there, making extra payments every month and breaking them down and everything. I just did it once a month, and I took whatever extra I could throw on it and threw it on it, and kind of get systematic after a while, and you get used to living that way. And, the money's just there, because if you're not spending it, it goes right back into your account and it stays there.
Yeah. Dave Ramsey, part of Dave Ramsey's story, wasn't he a financial failure? Didn't he fail bad? And that's how he learned how to get on top of this and how he has this drive today.
Yeah, he was kind of in real estate, and he would buy and flip houses, and he was basically rolling bank loans, and eventually they caught up to him. He claimed bankruptcy, and right when he did all that and was trying to get himself back out of debt, that's when he derived this whole system.
It's amazing. In my world of coaching, the more and more I find the super success stories in the coaching world, such as Zig Ziglar, Larry Winget, other people, and how financially they got debilitated at some point in their life. It really amazed me when I found out that Zig Ziglar, his daughter, came home one day and the marshals had had taken possession of their home. And those are the kind of things that affects people And where I'm hoping, what I admire about you guys is y'all made this decision. You weren't forced into it. In my own life, I had to hit a wall in order to understand this finally myself, because I was basically bank funded in business, and it ended up debilitating me one day. So, I admire you and Brandy, because and I sit there and I know the lifestyle you're leading now. And the neat thing is, with your kids and all, you've got small kids, and now you don't have debt, which enables you to do things with your kids that a lot of people wish they could do with their kids, Jeremy. So that's really neat. So tell me, you and Brandy entered into this jointly, correct?
Yeah. Brandy embraces challenge. She's an amazing woman. If you know Brandy, she gets up at 4 a.m. every day, goes to the gym, and gets done more than what most people will get done in a day before I even wake up out of bed. So she enjoys a challenge, and at that time she was in school, and so the nice thing was it was easy to be a little leaner because her whole life was school. So she was spending a lot of time studying and getting her nursing degrees and things of that nature. So she had some recreational things. It was basically studying and being in school. And I had my business at the time, because she wasn't part of the business when we first started everything. And so I was able to focus a lot on the business and getting it where we wanted to be. And she was focused on building her career and her education. So it was a good time of our life to really throw down and get this done. It would probably be a little harder now, but with the kids, you get the kids involved and the whole family goes after it. And I think we could chop that tree down again if we had to, but thank God, we've set ourselves up in a nice place. So, I don't foresee us in that. And once you do something, that drastic, it's kind of like what you said. You said a lot of these people had to hit, and yourself included, had to hit rock bottom low and drag yourself back up out of it. You'll never be in that spot again in your life, right?
Never, no way, Jeremy. There's no way I could ever go through that in my life again. No way.
Same thing for us. We'll never be in that. I don't care what I have to do. We won't get in that financial situation we started off as, that we were taught by our parents and taught in school, of all things. We won't ever get back there again, and we'll fight tooth and nail to do it. So that's the type of attitude you got to have. You gotta hit that rock bottom, and you got to have that drive.
Well, I know, Jeremy, the last time I was in Kansas City, you guys had made a decision. You live in a house that I'm gonna guess was built in the latter part of the 20th century, probably in the 70s or 80s, and you guys lived there. It was paid for, but you wanted to modernize it, and you did a very complete remodel of your house. And I've seen it. It was not a low cost remodel. In fact, you learned some business things out of that. But I'm presuming that was not borrowed money you did that rebuild on, was it?
Nope, just wrote a check for every draw. Just wrote a check.
Yeah. So
It
that
was saved up for. I mean, we knew it was coming. So I budget everything in my life. I figure we live in a 3,000 square foot house in Kansas, and when we bought it, I want to say 15 years ago ish, it was $220,000. So I figure, look, I'm a chimney sweep. I'm a very handy guy. I can probably do a lot of the maintenance and stuff myself. I painted the house myself. I did a lot of the lawn work and stuff at the time myself. So I figured when we bought this home, it would cost me about $5,000 a year in upkeep, which to some people they go, whatever, that's my house doesn't cost that. And some people will go, that's way not enough. Well, for what I figured, that's about what I figured. Well, so I've always budgeted money on that. So that way we also throw in a little bit extra, because I know that, look, this time's going to come that we're going to start not liking our house anymore. We're going to want, some sort of a change. So when you buy another house, you're going to probably want something bigger or nicer or newer or what have you. and I don't want to incur that debt. And to save up hundreds of thousands of dollars is pretty hard, right? So what we did was we save up a little bit, and then when we went to do this remodel, we knew it was going to be about $70,000. And it's nice, we want nice stuff, but it was the full kitchen, whole main floor, and everything, a lot of work. So the decision at that time was, okay, Brandy, it's now time to remodel or move. We can either take the money that we've saved up, sell the house, add it to that, and then we can have a new budget so we can just pay the next house off, not have to go in and borrow more money or anything, or we sink it into the house. We love the neighbors. Our parents are both within walking distance, a good hike, but within walking distance. We love our neighbors. We know the house, so that's the decision we decided to make, was to remodel. And it's nice, right? You've been here, right? Have you been here for it yet? Or was that somebody else that came in?
I was there. I actually taught a class. When you did this remodel, you actually made it big enough that you have classes in your home now. And last time I was there, we did a 3-day training in your house because your dining room.
And that's one of the reasons we did it too. I work from my home office a lot. We have a nice big shop, but I've got 3 girls in that office that can do a very good job, and they don't need me looking over their shoulders. And as the original business owner, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I'm constantly sticking my nose in things. I don't need to do that. So I separate myself from it, and I come home. It's nice and quiet. My kids, I can see my kids come home, or I'll be out in the field in the afternoon. But if, like, we had a rep come in, and the guy called, and he said, hey, where do you want to meet? Most people meet at a restaurant. No, we've got a beautiful remodeled island kitchen area. I can bring him in. I can make my own coffee and offer him a cup or what have you. And if people come into town, we can host people here. It's very nice. So it's kind of double duty. I need to find a way to write some of it off tax-wise.
Let me ask you this, Jeremy. Since I've known you and since the first time I ever came and visited with your company, I know you moved in a new building. And I know that when you moved in that, one of your dreams was to rapidly retire that debt. Has that debt been retired?
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to retire that debt?
So I broke my own rule just a little bit. When we bought that building, it was kind of a quick move. We were in, and you were there, we were in a shop, and we were popping at the seams. We had so much stuff, we had to put another garage door in because we couldn't even get to the rear of our shop. So we had to put a garage door in the side of it to be able to get in there. So logically, we need to move. So we had looked for buildings, and there weren't a lot in the price range and the size that we needed. Well, there was one down the road, and Brandy had been kind of working on the people that were in it because they wanted a different building. So they decided to sell it. So we all of a sudden we were looking at a new building. I think we bought it for $230, $220, $230, up to $250. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. But anyways, and we were in a $135,000 building, before. So obviously we got, even if we sold it ASAP, we probably wouldn't get much more than what I bought it for a couple of years back before that. And then we'd have to come up with another $100,000. So I got a line of credit, took out a small loan from the bank. Now I had the money at that time. I had enough money if I would have basically emptied the bank accounts and took up the emergency fund and everything. I didn't want to put myself at that type of risk. What if something happened? So we took it out, and I figure, okay, I'm gonna have this thing paid off in about 2 years. Well, we did it in a year, but believe me, you laser focus that, and it's amazing on how fast things you can do. So we did take out a little bit, but we had a game plan on getting rid of that debt ASAP. Of course, the bank probably hates us, but hey, you know what? I don't care. You just got to make sure that there's no penalty for paying that thing off early.
Yeah. So if you see you need a new tool, then this makes it much
Hmm.
easier. Or we'll say you want to provide a new service or make any kind of investment in the business. This makes it a lot easier decision. But at the same time, you're not somebody that just throws money right and left. You measure the ROI of everything you buy, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I research, and I keep files on things. Like if I go, hey, I want to get into duct cleaning, I start to research it. I talk to people, I run into people, I look into different things, and I make a file. And I never jump into something ASAP. You got to do it slowly, and you got to make sure you're making the right decision, because since we're not borrowing this money, we've got to bring it, and we want to make sure that the money's there. So, so we kind of start budgeting for it. So nothing's a hurry up and jump in thing. It's always not a very long process, but it's kind of a thought through. Everybody in their right mind is an impulse buyer. Jerry, I've been staring at the same motorcycle. I really want a new motorcycle, and I've got the money to do it, but I hate to part with money. About $15,000. I've got my old motorcycle, and it works great, and I probably won't get rid of it. But I keep on looking at this thing. It's probably gonna be gone before I finally get around to it. But I saved up for it, and I still can't pull the trigger just because man, that's a lot of money I could be doing something else with or what have you. So it's good to sit back and pull it away from yourself a little bit before you impulse buy it. Even though we really want those things, I run through my head, hey, do I really want another thing that I got to keep the maintenance up on, that I got to get insurance on? I can rent really nice motorcycles for a weekend if I'm just going to ride it. Because how much am I going to ride it? What if we have a busy summer? What if I want to go on a trip or something? So those are all things that roll through my head a little bit. I think a lot of people are impulse buyers. They feel like I owe myself this. I owe it to myself to eat out every day. I owe it to myself to go on extravagant vacations, put it all on the credit card. I owe it to myself. Hey, I only live once. Life's short. I'm going to do this, but that's really not the way you want to think. You want to think, hey, let me get myself out of this, because once I have no debt, all of that money that I was once putting towards those debts automatically comes right back to me. And then next thing you know, you basically became your own bank in your business, in your personal life, and you're just basically putting all that, stockpiling all that money, and then you can either put it into investments, or you can, bankroll your own things, and you aren't relying on the bank at that point. You're not relying on, can I get this loan? Am I going to be able to make this payment? What if I get hurt? What if I can't work? What if I become debilitated? What if I get cancer? What if I get cancer? I mean, all these things that happen to these people, and have happened to a lot of people that we know.
Yeah, that's it. And Jeremy, it's like you did something. You and myself and Cheryl went to dinner last time I was there, because we in St. Louis, and then we came to Kansas City. And I saw something that night. You did something that kind of told me something about Jeremy. There was a waiter working another table, and he had a pile of people. And you said, I know that guy didn't get tipped decently. And you wrote him a really nice tip that night, much more than you would have tipped on just our meal. And that told me a lot about Jeremy Biswell that night, bud. It really did. So
Yeah.
let me let me ask you.
Well, I like doing things like that. I always tell people we have certain things that we give money to, and that's the nice thing about being out of debt. You can give more. That's a huge thing. We give to our church, but I also respect the hardworking American. I respect people that do service related work, and they all deserve nice things. We deserve nice things. I like nice things. You like nice things. So when I see someone putting in a lot of effort, hey, I want to reward them, and I don't need, I appreciate that you notice that and you say nice things about it, but it's all about that self fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
But it makes me feel good when you say nice things about me, Jerry. So keep it up.
Well, I do. Hey, man, and it's not to blow. That told me a lot about Jeremy Biswell when you did that. Cheryl and I talked about that later. And it's just shows the kind of guy you are. So let me ask you this, Jeremy: if someone is part of a couple And this is a situation we run into a lot of times. One is we will call them the spendthrift, and the other one wants to get on a debt-free lifestyle. What would you tell them to do, Jeremy?
Well, basically, you gotta communicate, and if I think if you sit down and you write everything down together and you show each other this is where everything's going and this is where we need to go, and you got to find out, is that spender a visual person, are they an auditory person, or what, and try to communicate with them that way. Obviously, they've got certain habits, or they feel they spend money to maybe self-fulfill something. So if you can have that conversation about that too. Hey, I know you love Starbucks every morning, but do they really, do they love the coffee that much? Do they love a $5 cup of coffee that much? Or do they just enjoy going and having the social time there, or what have you? Maybe they need something. Maybe they need something more. So you gotta have that open conversation. And honestly, I led a group at Financial Peace University at our church here. Brandy led one too, a few months back, and we actually had a couple that was that very way, and they decided to, come to that as kind of a marriage counseling therapy, and just see how other people are. And there's a lot of people that are a lot worse off than you think, you might be, or someone might be. And I think that helped too. I think that really helped that couple. So hopefully they're doing well. But they're in my group, and I saw them at church the other day. They seemed to be happy. So whatever happy median they came to. But I've never met anybody. I've heard it a million times. In fact, it was advice from one of my original business coaches: borrow and build your business with somebody else's money. I'm yet to find anybody that has been able to borrow their way out of debt and borrow their way into becoming millionaires. I've never met any of those people. You talked earlier about all these successful people that you've met. Do any of them borrow money all the time? Did any of them borrow the money to get to where they are, and they're able to keep on borrowing and use other people's money? No, the other people's money they get is from the hard work that they do, and people pay them that money. So that's the other people's money that they're getting, and they're able to budget that money and utilize that money properly to what they have coming in. There's less going back out, right?
Yeah.
Because there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only 24 hours in a day, and we can only do so much work. So you either have to charge more or spend less. Well, I'm here to tell you, eventually there's a ceiling to what you can charge, but you can always spend less.
I got you covered, brother. Well, listen, this is something I like to tell everybody to do in my show. And this is why I'm just going to tell you to take off. And what I want to know from Jeremy is, brother, you have been in this business. You have been president of the National Trade Association. You have visited foreign countries as a delegate for the American Chimney Sweeps. So we're going into the year 2018. This podcast will be released right before Christmas. But what I'd like you to do is, what's Jeremy's thoughts? What's Jeremy's advice to be successful in what I call reach your dreams in your business and personal life? What's your advice to share with everybody, Jeremy?
Take a little bit more time. Don't run so hard, but take a little bit more time and try to maximize things. You'd be surprised how many things you do throughout the day and how much time you waste and how much energy you waste on certain things that are not bringing you the return that you deserve or that you should be getting. So that's one thing we've been working on in our business a lot. We have this beautiful system, this computer system. We have all this technology now, so we're able to actually. And you always think in your head, oh, I can't give up X because, or this part of the business, or I can't give up going to this part of my service area because we do a ton of business there. But then when you actually look at the numbers and you work it down, you go, oh my gosh, really? Our average return per customer up in that area is $220 when we can go right down the street here and our average is $2,000. Or, man, I spend my entire day prepping for these types of jobs, and we have the biggest headaches, and my guys have to learn all this new stuff, or they have to do things they're not that good at. It gets frustrating, or I have to go out and do it myself. And you kind of realize, hey, that's not really what I should be doing, because our guys are excellent. For example, one thing that we stopped doing was drywall. We suck at drywall. We're not drywallers. So we either need to A, find a contractor that does drywall, or B, just tell the customer flat out, we don't do drywall. So, here's what we are going to do, and here's what we can do, and we're very good at this. And that's the point. That's the place where we're going to stop at that point. And that this part of the job isn't included. But for you to go, well, no, we're going to do all of this stuff, and my guys need to be excellent at 1,500 different things. It's just impossible. So for all the time we were spending on drywall, I was looking, and heck, we could do 2 smoke chambers in the amount of time we can fix that one piece of drywall, because we got to do it, we got to hang it, we got to mud it, then we got to go away, then we got to come back, sand it, mud it again because we suck at it. Okay, and then hopefully it looks good again. Okay, we come back, nope, still looks like crap, mud it again. There just isn't a fast way to do that stuff. Now, there might be chimney sweeps out there that are excellent at drywall. They can do it one time, poof, there it is. We can't. We suck at it. Now, if I ever get an employee that's really good, something might change. But honestly, for the amount of jobs that we need to do some drywall on, it was so small, and I was spending all this time retooling, buying extra stuff, worrying about this or that. It was a total eat up. So honestly, we were losing money on that when we could have been focusing on something else and doing something else. So that's my biggest suggestion, is to take a good grand look at everything you do. Find those things that you either don't like doing, or your company, your guys, yourself, or anything suck at it. Also look at service areas, how much time you're spending driving to areas, whittle down to, and be a little snobby. Hey, yeah, I don't want to turn down, this poor person that lives in the middle of nowhere, an hour and a half away, because there is no chimney service up there. Well, that's great, but if you have to drive an hour and a half one way and then drive an hour and a half back, and then what if that customer has a callback or something? You've just ate up half a day when you could have done 2 customers back here and made twice as much money. So any of that makes sense? Sound like a good plan?
That sounds like it, bro. Well, listen, you did make me think of one question I am going to ask you, Jeremy. One time you and I were having a conversation, and it went like this. I said, Jeremy, you are a guy that I need to know what your secret of success is. And as we talked, you shared something with me that day, and I want you to share it with the people that are listening, because I think they all need to hear it. And you said that I think the difference is that if our workload gets slack, I don't lose my cool, because number one, I'm not deep in debt. But the other is, I know that phone will ring tomorrow morning, and by us not having a heavy workload, I think we're more profitable. Would you expand on that statement? Because I think you and I have had this conversation quite a few times. But Slack backlogs don't concern you actually you take a look at it, but you're not going to lose sleep tonight because your workload in a few days looks slack. Can you expand on that for me?
No, in fact, we're right in the middle of the busy season right now, and I know we've got 2 openings tomorrow that my office gal is about 4:30, and she was worried about filling, and I said, we'll fill it tomorrow. I mean, heck, we'll come in tomorrow morning to 5 phone calls, and one of those 5 is going to be the lucky contestant on The Price is Right, and want that fill in tomorrow. So there's always, so we're kind of in a yin and yang industry. There's an amount of pride and assurance, I guess. And hey, I'm booked out a month, I'm booked out 2 months, what have you. And when I look at something like that, I go, I screwed up somewhere. If I'm booked up that far out, then I screwed up somewhere. I didn't gauge my market properly, because if I'm booked out that far, I'm either doing way too much advertising, or I'm not charging enough, or something of that nature. Maybe I need more people. Maybe I need to hire more people. I need to do something different. Or maybe the reason I'm booked up is because I'm doing crap that I suck at, like drywall, and it eats up 4 times the amount of time, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, time after time, I'd see people are, griping about real estate agents. And this was kind of my case study. I go, we keep on. Anytime a real estate agent calls, when do they need it, Jerry?
They need it now. I mean, they got a house closing getting ready to happen.
Yeah, and what do they have? 10 days after they decide to sign paperwork, and who gets called first? The home inspector. What if it takes the home inspector 5 days to get there?
Yeah.
So now they're calling the chimney sweep, and the chimney sweep they have 5 days to get the chimney sweep in because they've already ate up all their other time. They don't get another 10 days. So basically, you've got this whole market of people that need something Thursday at 1 o'clock, or what have you, and they'll work with that time. They'll work with it if you don't have Thursday at 1 o'clock. So what I did was I go, look, I keep on, everybody grabs. I can't believe they expect that tomorrow. I laughed at them and hung up the phone. Well, I started going, my gosh, how much business am I losing? Those people will pay. They'll pay my rate. And so how much business am I losing? So we started tracking it. It was an entire truck's worth of business.
Yeah.
I was like, my gosh, I can hire another person. That's insane. So basically, that was one thing. That was one aha moment. The other one was, what's the number one thing you see all over heating and cooling companies' trucks, and when you see it on the commercials and everything? Same day service.
Same day service. And back here in Charlotte, we have one, and it's very common here. We run 2 shifts. They run 7 days a week, and their motto is, we're going to come when you need us, not when we want to come. And they run, the last count I had, they were running several years ago 139 service trucks.
So, Jerry, that's exactly where I was going. 139. You ever met a chimney company with 139 trucks?
Nope.
And I bet you those guys will be there the minute you call and when you need them. It might take a few hours or what have you. So if they're running 139 trucks and they're probably doing, my God, how much revenue do you think they're doing?
Well, let's
20, 30, $40 million a year?
I would say, I know that he had his own actor on television that just went to Hollywood, and that's all that guy did. That was a full-time job, was to make commercials for Morris Jenkins Heating and Air. And he's got.
So you think they're on to something?
I think they're on something. He's got to make, and what it was, and I've used this company in training before, but it was actually Morris Heating and Air that started back in the 40s. And Dewey Jenkins bought it in the 1990s. And Dewey Jenkins is a marketeer. He's not an HVAC guy. He knows how to be. He's a business owner. He's not a HVAC technician that moved up to it. He bought this, and I mean, you just go to their YouTube channel or other stuff and their TV commercials, and it's unreal what they're doing. And they do it, and they've got the greatest reputation you can believe.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, heck, who wouldn't like the guy that you call at 11 o'clock at night because your toilet's backed up and they're out there in an hour or two, right?
So
you got a drain that's backing up. How horrible is that?
Yeah.
Well, maybe chimneys and fireplaces aren't that important, but we have people that are very busy, and I saw on Facebook just the other day, someone was complaining because someone wanted something at 8 o'clock at night, and one guy popped on and said, hey, I'll take that appointment. Well, that's not a bad thing. If you want to run those appointments that late, what I would do is, before I just started doing that, I would probably start tracking that and see if it's worth my time to set up that whole thing rather than just go out there randomly, because there's a lot more involved in it. But, hey, that might be a magic bullet somewhere too, So, yeah, and a company that's running 139 trucks and that's profitable and everything else, I think he's on to something. So who are we to sit there and go, that guy's crazy?
Yeah.
He's not crazy. He's just doing something that nobody else wants to do, and he's going down that odd path when everybody else said, hey, let's go this way. He goes, no, I think I'm going to go over here.
Yep.
Well, that's exactly what me and Brandy did, and that's the whole reason we're having this conversation, Jerry, is because everybody else goes that way, and we said, hey, let's try this way, see how it works. And I'm here to tell you, it works.
Yeah. Well, for everybody listening, this has been our conversation with Jeremy Biswell. And if you see Jeremy at a convention, he's kind of crazy. Sometimes you may think he's a little off his rocker. That's part of his brand when you look at him. He does crazy, stupid stuff. I know that I will never leave my Facebook open with Jeremy in the room because he'll be picking up my phone and there he goes out there, right, Jeremy?
Oh, it's all good and fun, and you're able to say things that you wouldn't usually say, Jerry. I express those emotions for you
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need Jeremy to express my emotions. I've always had a problem expressing my emotions, Jeremy. So anyway, brother, listen, I appreciate you taking the time out. We're doing this on a weekday evening, and I know, getting you set up for this. Also, I really appreciate it, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in knowing more about how to live a debt-free lifestyle. This is one of Jeremy's driving forces to see people do this. Jeremy, would that be a true statement when I say that you would be glad to help anyone that wants to accomplish that debt-free lifestyle?
Yeah, absolutely. And the offer is still on the table. Anybody that takes Financial Peace University and submits and takes that program for the entire duration and submits the diploma that you get at the end of it to me, I'll pay for the class. I'll reimburse them for the class.
I didn't want to bring that. I knew that was out there, Jeremy. I didn't want to be the person to bring that up, but that right there, if you want, and I know he's willing to do this because I've shared this with some people, but you got to go to the Financial Peace and you've got to get the diploma, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, and it's not an easy task. I'm trying to remember how many weeks, maybe 12 weeks, and it's during the week. It's an evening, several hours. So it's a dedication. It's like going in a room of people that need to lose weight and saying, hey guys, welcome to the Jeremy's version of The Biggest Loser. If y'all lose 50 pounds and you keep it off for a couple months or what have you, then I'll give you $1 a pound or whatever. So it's not easy.
Yeah.
You're going to have to make some sacrifices, but it's just like all educational tools or anything. Once you get over that, there's a big accomplishment. There's a sense of accomplishment, and you learn something. That's great.
Well, like I said, I've had a lot of well-known, celebrities on this show with me. The Larry Wingetts, the Gettimers, the Ellen Roars, Randy Pennings people. But Jeremy, in my book, you're a rock star too, okay? And I really appreciate you being here with me tonight, brother. So anyway,
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead, Jeremy. You got something else?
well, what I was going to say is what I need you to do now is I need you to tell all of these Gitmers and Wingets and everything that I had a rock star. His name was Jeremy Biswell. Then they'll go, who is this guy? That guy must be amazing. And then they'll all be calling me for advice. And next thing you know, I'm keynote speaker at conventions, right?
There you go, man. Hey, you want to get in that line? Hey, I can get you going, brother. So anyway, this is Jerry Eisenhower, and our show is put on every week. It's the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, and it's sponsored by my company, CVC Coaching. And we do this every week. It's distributed on SoundCloud, iTunes, and on Spreaker. Also, be looking. We're now rolling out our educational platform. It's what we call CVC Basecamp, and we're putting up a lot of educational products on this each and every week. It's a program where you only buy the classes that you need for your company. There is no subscription required to this. And once you buy a class, you have a license to use it. It goes into your library. So there's no monthly recurring fees with the CVC system. So if we can help you out with your education, help you out getting to your dreams, give me a call. My name's Jerry Eisenhower, and I look forward to talking with you someday. So with that, we're out of here this week. Join us next week and every week as we release our podcast, the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, that is designed to help my friends, my colleagues, and most of all, almost my family members in the fireplace and chimney industry. So, Jeremy, thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you guys next time.